Hook Hunter here. So today, man, I kind of got like a little special video here for you today. But before we jump into this video, I just want to thank everyone that has subscribed and continued to support this channel. Our latest video on the cast net video, if you missed that, that got 18,000 views and almost 200 likes. So please go check out that one and keep the algorithm going. It lets me know that you guys kind of like that kind of content. My passion is also fishing, specifically saltwater fishing. Now, I will say I do love a nice big old bass. I do know this year going forward, we will do hunting because that's kind of fun because that's the first bird to migrate. But going forward in this channel, we're going to be fishing a lot more later in the fall, especially because that's when the saltwater bite heats up. And speaking of saltwater bite, let's get to this video. Today's video is going to be saltwater essentials. So let's get to it. So one thing that I always like to have, I always wear hoods out there, but one thing that's essential, especially for me, if you don't have a hood, is wear these things. And I always have a red drum. Red drum is probably one of my favorite fish to catch. I will say I love red drum, speckled trout, flounder, all that type of fishing, you know. And so I always have one of these on the boat. Here's a baggie that I made, and my brother kind of got me turned on to this, and I should have done this years ago. But this right here is the king mackerel rig making setup. So let's see what's in it, right? All right, so I use 100% fluorocarbon leader. Now, I will tell you that there is regular fluorocarbon line and there's fluorocarbon leader line. You could probably get away with using regular fluoro line, but I like the stuff that says leader material. It's just a little bit tougher. I like using fluorocarbon because A, it sinks. Fluorocarbon sinks, right? And B, this is very invisible to the fish. You know, they can hardly see this. Now, another leader material you can get away with is probably monofilament. Monofilament stretches. Braid, on the other hand, does not. So I would stick away from that because you could pull it out of a king's mouth if you're not careful. And so these are kind of hard to find, but if you can't find them, everyone can buy these off Amazon. These are live bait for saltwater. They're 2-aught. And this is what we use for the pogies or menhaden or bunker, depending on where you live. And this is just the hook that's in front that you can either hook them through the nose or behind the neck head area. And so I'm a firm believer in beads. Now, they do make skirts. I do like skirts, but if you don't have skirts and you want a cheaper option and you are making your rigs, I would go with beads. These are colorful ones. I just think, you know, orange, green beads. You could even do a combination of colors just to get that attention from fish that's down there that just, hey, just look on. And then lastly, I believe I got these at a local bait shop down at the beach, but this is the treble hooks that you can use when making your rigs. And I only use a single treble for the back end of the rig. So, and then lastly, I can't express this enough. This is probably one of the most important things besides having the right leader. And if I didn't say, this was a 40-pound leader. And then here's the one thing that I learned from this bait store, and a lot of your king rigs that are already made, I'm not gonna knock them by all means, but sometimes they're not long enough. I believe in having a pretty long king rig and then your leader even longer. So I'll pick up some of this surf strand, and the reason why I use this is wire. But the thing about the size is 1x7. They can't really see it too well, and it's very strong. It's a lot more flexible than the wire that you get off the king rigs, and this works better. It gives a little bit more whenever the king's fighting, and you know, doesn't have a potential to snap that wire in half. So this is what I like to use. This is a 90-pound trolling wire, so I really love this stuff, and I highly recommend getting you some. Last but not least, I use this stainless steel barrel swivel. This is a 100-pound test, yeah, and they're really small. I don't know if you can see that. They're really small, and I like getting away with it, you know, smaller, keeping your rig where they can't see it a whole lot. I think, you know, and then having something to attract the fish if the fish itself isn't attracting it. All these things set you up for success. So that's my kind of king rig setup here. I took these out earlier. I always have this tool whenever I'm making them to crimp this stuff together and stuff. So, and then always have a pair of these on the boat. You won't obviously get the king with this, but I always have these on the boat as well. And one thing that I always have, I have 2 of these. I need to change the bag out, it's kind of dirty. I always have this Pro Cure. And what this stuff is for is just putting on the back of your, basically whatever lure you're gonna use. This thing has a little nozzle on it, you pop it open and then do a little squeeze. And I'll put a little squeeze all the way from probably where the hook starts right here to the back. And that just gives a nice little scent, and it's super sticky. And the stuff lasts a lot longer than you think. And so that is one way, if you don't have Gulp and Gulp juice, that is another way to catch fish. And I've caught some big flounder. I mean, like doormats. Let's keep going. But if you're gonna have soft plastics, right, you gotta have the right jig heads. So I have all my jig heads here, and I think a lot of them have been in here for some time now and been chipped and stuff. But I'm a firm believer in, for me, I love these red eyes. And they have different sizes. They have ones that, you know, have a weed guard and some that don't. I just like these ones with big eyeballs like that. It may just be comfortability, just confidence, whatever you want to call it. I either get the one with the red or I get one with the green eye. And I kind of match that kind of with what my shrimp or my paddle tail is going to be. So I use those mainly. I will use some of the gotcha stuff and some of the cheaper ones. It just, I mean, they're made differently, and then some of them have like a different style head. So if it sits, it'll kind of keep the bait off the bottom a little bit. That's just that difference. This one has the same kind of design here. It'll keep it off the bottom. So, sorry. This little container is what I use for trout, red drum, flounder, anything that's willing to bite it. I have this kind of separated out from the rest of the stuff. So let's keep going. So I'll kind of pull some up and show you. But there's always been, you know, fish caught on these. Now I will say that when you're out there and just throwing and jerking, all that gets tiresome, right? So I don't do that as much anymore as I used to, but I used to do that a lot on the pier. So now, especially late in the fall and when the water starts cooling down, especially after that big king run has been in October, November time, or even early spring, I'll throw these like bullet type lures, and I caught a massive false apic on it. You don't think, you know, this is pretty heavy. It's a pretty heavy style thing. So you can throw it on, you can throw it pretty far. So I'll be throwing one of these, and this is just reeling it in. I mean, you can stop it and jerk it, but I wouldn't. I've just reeled it in and caught pretty big false albacore on it. Other style jigs to throw, and this is just, and this will just wobble based on the body style to wobble in the water. And then I always have different colors of this variation of it. And then you always got to have some kind of bucktail of some sort. I always have bucktails on me. Now this past season, I'm going to have to invest in some of those cobia ones. They were catching cobias on, because that's what we call the big red drum on with my buddy on his boat. And if you haven't checked that video out, I do have that video on my channel, so go check it out. And then one year, I was out there, my first kind of season fishing kings, and this is called a diamond jig, I believe. And he was just jigging this on the side of the boat. He was letting it fall down to whatever depth and then just jigging it up. And he actually had a king hit this. So I will have these up there for sure. I'll kind of show you these spoons. You can't go wrong with just throwing a spoon, because you can just, it's one treble hook, which is better than the gotcha, and you can just reel it in. Same with this one, you can just throw it out and reel it in. This thing's pretty heavy, so I don't know what size it is, but it's pretty heavy. I do have this trolling gotcha, and one thing I'll tell you about this guy in particular is, this is the bird, as they call it tormentor. And then this is a single hook gotcha. So whenever a fish hits it, this hook right here goes with them, and the tube stays there. So they hit this and take that, and then this separates. See? Separates. It's just like a little, it's like a little fly. I thought that was pretty cool. So I always have that on the boat in case we're out there and seeing fish popping on top of the water. On to the next box, and this is probably one of my favorite boxes here, and I'll tell you why. This is if you had to take anything with you, and if you only had space for one thing, I'd take just this box right here, and then these guys right here, the jig heads for your plastics. And I'll tell you why. So I'll have a lot of different things here. So I have a big old circle hooks in here for some red drum. You have your barrel swivels and some clips. You have some little hooks for bottom fishing. You can make your own bottom fishing rigs with this. You know, a lot of different stuff in here to do a lot of different things, and some different style bullet weights. And then I always have these type of weights for bottom fishing. But this is why, this is probably, other than versatility, this is the reason why I like this box the most. These guys right here. And if you don't know what these are called Poppin Corks. It makes the sound of a shrimp when you jerk it. Makes the sound of the shrimp popping. And so what you pretty much tie this to your main line and then use a leader. Now remember that fluorocarbon leader? Not only do I have it for king fishing, I also have it for trout and red drum. So that'll be my next thing that I pair up with my tackle box and leader material. And I use for this type of fishing 20 to 30. I like that. That's a sweet range for me. And it has to be leader material. When it comes in a little stuff, it's kind of expensive, but it's worth it, I promise. And I always use these. Now there's different ones. You know, they got the Matrix one. They all come in different styles and whatever works for you. They even have these little Cajun Thunders that you can do. All of these work. I was doing some research and I found these popping corks. They're called blabbermouths. If those that have been fishing a while know what they are, but these big popping corks that you throw in there and they make a loud sound to attract fish to come to the top. And you can get a big drum with those, and it covers a lot of different saltwater tactics. So this is something I would have always on me, is these two things right here. I'll have some voodoo shrimp on the boat. Gotta have that, and I'll put that underneath one of those popping corks. For me, I like popping with the green one. For some reason, green has been the color. Let me know in the comment sections which other popping cork colors work for you. And for me, I like to match the hat. So I would get either a yellow, you know, something similar to that, and I just match the head of the jig head with the tail. I don't know, it's just something about matching and making it look nice, attracts more fish. Same with the voodoo, even though the voodoo already has like a little weighted jig head. It is a bag full of nothing other than saltwater assassin. And why I have so many, you say? Well, I try a little bit of everything just so the fish tell me what they like better. So I mainly have a lot of pinks and greens. For me, that's the colors that work for flounder and drum. Flounder and speckled trout, sorry. So, and then I also you always got to have a natural color. White would be a good one to have. And then occasionally I'll throw what they call the Paul Brown. And the one thing I like about these is it's different than your official MirrOlures. So this is MirrOlure M17, I believe. Back in the day, I used to use the bigger one and caught some big blues off of it. But I like this one because you can't really tell, but if you squeeze it, it's soft. So for me, I think a fish sometimes whenever they bite something, sometimes if they feel that it's hot, ooh, like, you might let it go. I don't know, but I just like that it's soft. So I did throw some of these sometimes, and sometimes I catch some big trout. One thing you also have to have, and this can go along with the other box, always have a sabiki rig, and I'll put that with the other box because sometimes you go out there and you can jig the sabiki and catch some live bait. And then this is just some more soft plastics. I don't know, man. For me, soft plastics is the way to go sometimes. All right, so before we keep going on and continue, if you are liking this kind of content and you want to see some more of this, just let me know in the comment section what you guys want to see next, or what baits I didn't describe, or what more you want to see of going forward. It's right here, so it was just I kept it with this bait. So this right here is called the blabbermouth, and this thing is loud. So I did have it. It actually goes with that actually pairs well with this because this looks like a big bait fish, and so I would pair it with that if I threw it with a fluorolure. This could be like another drum or flounder type box. Obviously, I have a lot of this stuff. Bought 5 of these guys, and they're called Bugs Lure. Go check them out. I'm not sponsored by them, but I do love this stuff, and this is just another way to be able to go out there and throw and be successful. It's just something different to throw, but I think, you know, it's got a flat, so it'll sit on the bottom good, and you just jig it, and I think it catches fish. Another thing, this is a pokey. This is a live target. Live target lures are really great for matching the hatch, and then you can just throw that out there and just reel it in and pretend you're a pokey. Another thing that I would try for drum is spinnerbaits. Spinnerbaits are great. This is redfish magic, and they always use the teardrop one, and the difference between the teardrop, the other shapes of your blades, is you can reel this one really slow. Teardrop is designed to do a lot of vibration, and you don't have to reel it super fast. And then I always will have some kind of walk the dog lure early in the morning. You gotta have these as well on the boat. And then I haven't thrown this yet, but I know that sometimes a weedless spoons sometimes will do the trick as well. So, and then, you know, back early on, you could, and they still sell these, I'm sure, you can just buy some of these minnows that paddle tail just moves just enough to vibrate, cause vibration off the bottom. Looks like a struggling fish. You know, can't go wrong with that either. So that's pretty much what's in this tackle box. You know, and then last but not least, this box, and this box right here has a whole bunch of stuff in it. But like I said, mainly have a lot of walk the dog lures. Put him back in here. Some more Zara spooks. I just like having all sorts of colors. You just never know which one will work for a specific day. And then I bought this one because it has a different lip on it. And then here's the traditional, so where's that one at? The traditional MirrOlure, and they had 3 treble hooks. Don't get me wrong, these catch nice fish, but I personally prefer throwing, as they get hooked with the one in there. I personally like throwing this size, but the 17 is the way they go because it's just smaller, finger size, and probably more prone to being eaten than a larger one. Now, I won't say larger ones don't catch fish, because they do, so don't hold me accountable for that. But yep, and then here's some more of these. Like I said, Paul Brown's. Should probably put the other one here, but here's the bigger size one that you can throw. I always have line with me, so I always have some line with you just in case you get spooled or something happens. But this is basically what I take on a day's fishing. Because, like I said, I'll bring it back up here. Like I said, man, you go out there with a game plan, but sometimes the fish aren't there, or let me slide you closer. Sometimes the fish aren't there, or just what you had in mind just doesn't work out. And so if you have these different types of variations of baits and styles, it just leads you for that. It sets you up for success, basically. So you go out there, catch bait, and you guys have seen me catch bait. But if you haven't checked that video out, it's on my YouTube channel. It just dropped 4 days ago, so it's the cast net video. It's called Cast Netting Done Right or something like that. So check that video out if you haven't. It's a short. So anyway, back to this, kind of wrapping up this video. These are things that I have. So main thing is I go out there for a game plan to do this. But let's just say the wind changes, or they're just not there, they're not in the area, not biting, and you tried all sorts of things, your bait dies. Well, you know, hopefully that's early enough in the day where you can adjust and then go take some of these items that I've showed you today and go try in some near some marsh or near some grass, or you know, just go try to catch some drum, some flounder, and some trout. And you know, if you didn't have all this stuff, you wouldn't be able to go out and try them. So this is kind of my setup and what I have. Hopefully you learned something today and enjoy this kind of stuff. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. Smash that like button if you like this kind of content, and also let me know if there's something else you would like to see, like rods or any kind of setup, or if you have any kind of questions, just tell me down in the comment section. Anyway, man, Hope you guys enjoy this kind of thing, and until next time, happy hunting and fishing, y'all.